Green Cooling scores with the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show.
Well, good evening, hello and welcome. It's once again time for the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show. Myself is here, Dave Parkinson, and I'm joined as ever by Steve Beech. How are you doing, Steve? You okay, mate?
Yeah, doing fine, thanks, Parky. Plenty to talk about again this week. But I do believe we've been pulled up because we're talking too much about the weather and architecture on the show. Eddie said.
Who's pulled us up on that?
Eddie said.
Which architecture?
Apparently we were talking about architecture last week.
Was we?
Yeah, but I know we were talking about the weather because a lot of the games were called.
Well, of course we were talking about the weather. You can't not talk about the weather when we've had the amount of rain what we've had, and it continues to fall, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
It was another weather-affected round anyway of the National Conference League and everywhere else.
Yes, he said last week's show is like a cross between rugby league, flood management and architectural design.
Architectural design, right? Okay. Well, we talk about anything, don't we?
I think the architectural design was you saying that Victoria Park was on stilts, if you remember, because of the floodplains.
Yeah. I remember now.
Yeah.
I don't often remember these things. I never know what I've said when we go do these shows, you know. People think it's scripted. People think that, you know, we spend hours and hours putting this together. And you know, we do to a certain extent.
Trust me, we do.
But I can never remember what I've said because I don't actually have a script in front of me. I've just got certain things that I go on. Anyway. Rugby, welcome. Rugby League, Community Rugby League, yet another weekend. And so we're going to be having a catch-up with everything that's happened in the North West Men's League. We're going to be having our latest report from Cumbria to come in just a couple of minutes' time. We've got a roundup of all the action from the National Conference League. You was over at a local venue for a change, wasn't you?
I was, yeah. I travelled over to have a look at Thatto Heath, who was taking on Egremont Rangers. Oh, it was bitterly cold. It was, you couldn't believe it. It was sort of springtime. In fact, I think virtually we had every season in that afternoon. But it was,
sung by Crowded House, that wasn't it? 4 seasons in one day.
I'd say it was cold. Everybody was wrapped up, every single person. But we'll have a chat about that a little bit later on.
We've also got not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 interviews that I carried out over the course of the last few days. Starting first of all with England Community Lions under-17s boss Stuart Simmons. He was talking about the latest squad that has been selected ahead of the internationals that are going to be following in July up against France. 2 away matches in France, this, by the way.
They'll be tough.
They will be tough. Traditionally, France are a tough prospect anyway.
Even over here, when they come over here, you always know you're going to get a good game. But going over to France, that's going to make it just a tad more tasty.
Yeah,
I think.
two games in the space of 6 days. When the squad flies over there at the end of July. So we'll have a chat about the squad. We'll hear Stuart's thoughts on some of the guys that he has selected following, you know, the selection process, which took a few rounds of trials actually, you know, and I think especially I was briefly over at the under-16s trials as well, and Martin Ellis was saying that they've had 300 kids that have trialled for the Lions this season.
That's good though, isn't it?
It's fantastic.
You know what I mean? That's what you want. It shows you that your pathway's working, doesn't it?
Definitely. And there was, you know, plenty of nominations. That squad's still to come out, by the way. I think they're still doing the sort of like checks and final thoughts on that. But we'll also be hearing from England Community Lions Open Age hopefuls, Matty Stableford of Oulton Raiders, Andy Philbin of Leigh Miners Rangers, and Connor McCallum from Siddal. 3 cracking interviews, if I do say so myself, also wind affected. There we go. There endeth the weather forecast.
It was bad.
But I first of all want to start with the Holman Igglesand Premier Division. So let's have a look at the roundup from last week. We have Egremont A 6, Hensingham A 32. Now at half time, Hensingham A led by 10 points to 6. Egremont's lone try came courtesy of Dylan Scott. That was converted by Lee Rogers, with Jordan Baird standing out as man of the match for the home side. Hensingham's victory was fuelled by tries from Liam Quayle, Matty Williams, Noel Branthwaite, Andrew Smith, Kobe Conway and Dylan Cromwell, with conversions all by Dylan Braggick at 4 in total. Liam Quayle also earned himself the man of the match honours. It was Askham 12, Glasson Rangers 28, and nobody saw that coming at half time, by the way. It was just 6 points each. Askham's Kieran Norman crossed the line twice, with Luke McIntee converting both tries. Dale Lampton was named as the man of the match. But Glasson Rangers, they had the better of things, particularly in the second half. Matt Burns and Matt Johnson each scoring twice, along with a try each for Connor Wilson and Tyler Beals. He added the extras with 4 conversions. Bobby Benson was the standout player for Glasson Rangers. Espatria, they had a real tough afternoon. They trailed by 4 points to 20 against Maryport and eventually lost the game by 54 points to 4. Espatria's sole scorer came in the form of Mark Irwin, who also claimed their Man of the Match award. Maryport's impressive win featured tries from Blake Mirror, Danny Dryden, Luke Cremins, Ashley Smith, Joel Baker, Sam Forrester, Scott Atherton and Luke Baker. Blake Miller and Craig Foster handled all the conversions, with Luke Baker also being named as man of the match. It was high scoring between Flimby and Ellenborough A. Half time Ellenborough, they'd amassed a 30 points to 10 advantage. Flimby's points came courtesy of tries from Nathan Kirkbride, Sam Fearon and Darren de Graaf, with Reese Booty kicking 2 conversions. I love that. I love the fact that we've got a guy called Reese Booty who plays and he's a goal kicker as well. Ryan Williams was their man of the match.
Can I just say, Darren de Graaf?
Yeah.
Any relation to...
I have a feeling there might be.
That could well be there.
Yeah. We've got to thank Lorraine de Graaf every week for the roundup, the comprehensive roundup that she sends through, and it allows us to give that little bit more meat on the bones, doesn't it? And I love being able to mention players as well. Now, Ellenborough A's dominant performance included tries from Kevin Holborn. He grabbed a hat-trick. Good to see Kevin back, by the way. Good. I think I give him a mention every time he plays, actually, and he gets on the score sheet, because I was over in Fiji with him actually a few years ago. So really, really good bloke. And happy that he's finally getting over his injuries. Jason Graham, Connor Irving, Ethan Charlton, Josh Pattinson, Cian Dempsey, Joe Appleby, Tyler Edgar, Danny Healy, and Ace Wedgwood were amongst the tries. Josh Pattinson added 7 conversions and Jason Todd was awarded the man of the match. There was a real cat and mouse struggle between Cockermouth Titans and Lauca. Half time, it was 16 points to 20 in favour of Lauca, and Cockermouth's effort was led by Dave Whitworth and Regan Tinian, both of whom scored twice, with Tinian also adding 3 conversions. Tinian, despite his sin bin, was picked as the man of the match. Meanwhile, Lauca's narrow victory came through tries courtesy of, you've guessed it, Mitchell Todd. We mention him nearly every week. Zenda Callender, Luke Waitman, Jordan Allen and Emerson Allen also got on the try-scoring charts.
Some fantastic names up that neck of the country, don't they?
Conversions split between Keith Campbell and Jamie Scott. Finn Barwise was the man of the match. Mitchell Todd also spent time in the sin bin, so he blotted his copybook a little bit this time round, did Todd. Now, Wathbrow A and Dissington A. This game was awarded to Wathbrow, 24 points to 0 due to Dissington not being able to field the team. And that is the roundup of all the action on the field. Now, coming up this weekend, and we've got a little bit of a section later on about the Barla National Cup, but Lauca in Barla National Cup action. They're taking on Keighley Albion in the preliminary round, and the other fixtures that are in the Holman Igglesand Premier Division, there's no let up for these Cumbrian sides, by the way, is there? Because if you look around the rest of or most of the rest of the community game, they've got the weekend off, haven't they?
That's right, yeah.
There's not that many fixtures that are sort of penned in, but there's a full programme here in the Holman Igglesand Premier Division. Maryport host Flimby. Aspatriad are at home to Glasson Rangers. Kells A are set to host Ellenborough A. Dissecting A are set to host Cockermouth. And I mentioned that Lauca, they're playing in the National Cup, so their game with Egremont A is off. Hensingham A, they have a bye in this round. So stay tuned over the next coming weeks for more thrilling rugby league action. We'll bring you all up to date with what's going on there.
There'll be lots. There'll be absolutely lots. So where are we off to next, Parkit?
I tell you what, why don't we dip our toes into the North West Men's League?
Yeah, North West Men's. Again, sorry, Eddie, but the weather did take toll on quite a few games over the weekend. We'll kick off in the Premier Division. And when Ashton Burrs were taking on Hurstfinch, if you remember, we highlighted this as one of our games. And because of the weather, this fixture was reversed, so it was at Hurstfinch, I believe. And it was a resounding win for Hurstfinch, 32 points to 0. That is huge. Gotta say, at the moment, they're on fire, Hurstfinch, scoring big points and defending really well. Not surprising. We know they're always, there or thereabouts with regards to the Premier Division, but on fire at the moment. Then we've got Oulton Farmers Hornets 30, Eastern Athens 12. Lightsford Albion against Blackbrook. We were going to be there, if you remember, last Thursday, but unfortunately, again, the weather took toll on that one. Shevington Sharks, they were up against Foley Lane, and again, it's another fixture that was reversed and played at Foley Lane, and this was Foley Lane 18, Shevington Sharks 19.
Close run thing there for Shevington Sharks, that wasn't it? It sounds like a cracking game, that one.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good win, because obviously that then takes it as, I presume, whether that will go as an home game or I don't know what happens next. That the corresponding fixture, will that be? Yeah,
they'll just play that at Shevington, I would imagine. It happens at community level. That sometimes, we had it in the National Conference League just the other week when I think it was Heworth.
Yeah.
Were able to reverse their fixture and go over to West Hull.
Yeah, and it's great that can happen, and people, sort of very obliging and able to do that to get because they understand that the fixtures have got to be played at some sort of time. So we move down into Division 1, couple of casualties there. We got Burntwood Bridge, they were up against Goulburn Parkside, another one that we identified as the two promoted teams. Well, again, weather took toll there and that one was cancelled. Hindley against Dalton, another one that bit the dust, as they say. But Salford City Roosters, they were up against Wigan St Cuthberts, and Salford City Roosters 12, Wigan St Cuthberts 4.
You can usually tell with some of these lower scoring games that you're thinking that's been weather affected, hasn't it?
Yeah, very much. Then this next one, interesting. It was Thatto Heath Crusaders A up against Ulverston. Now this match was abandoned because Ulverston were leading 10-4 at the time it was abandoned, because sadly it had to be abandoned due to the referee taking a serious injury. He was picked up by the ambulance, and both clubs would like to send the wishes, and obviously we would too, to the referee to making a successful recovery. Not to go unnoticed that there was a great response from the medics and first aiders from both sides who were on the scene, and also both sets of players playing their part in ensuring the safety of everyone. Got to say, like we say all the time, it's not just about the two teams. There are three teams there. Obviously, there's the officials as well. And I just hope our official makes a good recovery and can get back officiating at some point.
Yeah, definitely. I think I know that official actually, because I remember reading something on Facebook actually saying that he took ill at the game and had got an injury. But my thoughts go out to him and hope that he's back out on the field very, very soon.
Yeah. So as I said, that's Thatto Heath Crusaders and Ulverston. That was abandoned. West Oulton Lions up against Charlie Panthers, another one that bit the dust, unfortunately. Division 2, well, it was a bit of a real downer for Newton Storm, who travelled to Highpool Tigers, and they were on the end of a 50 points to 4. Good hiding by the looks of things there. Leigh Miners Rangers A24, Rochdale Mayfield A16.
Got a little bit of a tale about this one, so if you remember last year we spoke with Dean Barmer, who was coaching the Bedford school. which went all the way to Wembley and played in the National Schools Year 7 final before the Challenge Cup final. So Dean had a long association with both clubs in Leigh. So he was Leigh's captain during a lot of the time when I was down there, but found himself back at Miners. He's also on the coaching staff at Miners now, so he coaches the under-18s. Yeah, and he was saying about hanging on to still play. So it was his dream to play alongside his son. Yeah. So his son is Dean, who's coming through the ranks, very promising half-back, trialled for the England Community Lions. Under 16s under 17, sorry, didn't quite make that squad. Yeah. But he's a decent player. The two of them were on the field together, dad and lad, and it was really interesting actually from this point of view, because Leigh Miners Rangers, they've got a group of talented young teenagers that are starting to filter their way through. Yeah. So although for the next couple of years maybe they I don't think that they're thinking that they're going to be that much of a force in getting towards promotion, etc. You never know, of course. A few injuries at different times, or people finding form, etc., and you can find yourself in a final, can't you?
That's right. Yeah.
But I think longer term, there's a plan for a lot of these young players that are now starting to filter their way through, and I think there was another 4 teenagers that were in this squad which defeated Rochdale Mayfield, but that's a fantastic story. I love when we get dads and lads. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's part of it, isn't it? That the dads start off playing at a club, and by virtue of the way clubs are structured these days, you bring your lad down to play. So a lot of the time it's to get them out and about, and obviously you're in the same venue, so it works in that respect. And there's always going to come a point where there's that possibility, and for it to happen, that was excellent. So that was Leigh Miners Rangers A24, Rochdale Mayfield A16. Roost Pioneers, they welcome Wigan Spring View, and it was 62 points to 6 for Roost Pioneers.
A great result that, and again another dad and lad took the field there as well.
Oh, that's it. And we got West Bantburst 30, Waterhead Warriors A12. Then we go down into Division 3, Caddishead Rhinos 18, Clotface A20.
That sounds like a cracker.
Yeah. Garswood Stags 24, Wigan St Jude's A0. Leigh East A0, Higginshaw 24. Runcorn Highfield 28, Blackpool Scorpions 6. The game between it was Bolton and it was the Chester Gladiators in Division 4. Yeah. That was it was cancelled because of the weather as well. Then Parker, it nearly fell at the first hurdle. Do you remember my prediction last week?
Go on, remind me.
About Haydock going the full. Oh, going the season unbeaten. Well, Culture Eagles very, very nearly put a scupper to that for me, and it was Culture Eagles 24, Haydock 26.
Wow, what a close run thing that is.
That is, it's got to be said, at Culture Eagles, hats off to you, because I guess you're not. Haydock are going to be, they are a good side, there's no ifs and buts. I'd be very, very surprised as what I said last week doesn't come true. But yeah, well done, Culture Eagles, and I think we need to keep an eye on them, Culture Eagles, because if they've done that to run A. close to, let's see how they go on with the rest of the season as well. Moving on, Langworthy Reds 20, Liverpool Lizards 24.
That's another close one thing, that.
Yeah, great result for Liverpool, that one. Yeah. Oral St James A22, West Oulton Lions A0. So that rounds up all the results for the North West men's fixtures this week. I think next week, there's only one game on, if I'm not wrong, Parker.
There is, yeah. That's on Saturday. It's in the Trophy, and it's Caddishead Rhinos up against Oldham St Anne's A. So get yourself along to that one. Cracking little club as well, Caddishead. I know the England Community Lions under 16s did a lot of the training sessions from there last year. And it's tucked away. Yeah. So I actually didn't know there was a club in Caddy's there because I'd never been.
Yeah,
I know I'd spoken to them, but I was thinking, where is this ground? You know, where is it?
We say that a lot about these grounds, though, don't we? I mean,
it was right hidden away.
It's very rare you just come across them. You know, you have to go. You know, middle of a housing. How many times have we been in middle of housing estates?
Well, that's it. That's in the middle of a housing estate as well.
There we go. Yeah.
But it's a cracking little venue. So if you are at a loss, you're after a game to go to, make it that one. Kerry's Rhinos up against Oldham St Anne's A. Now, across in the Yorkshire Men's League, we had the Shield results. You might have to help me with a couple of these as well, but I'll do my best in what I can. So it was Sherburn Burrs 24, Rycroft Hammers 0, Keighley Albion Academy 20, Oulton Raiders 30, Farnley Falcons 0, Bramley Buffaloes A 24, Cottingham Tigers 6, Charleston Rovers Academy 48, Guiseley Rangers against Greetland All-Rounders. I've not got a result for that one.
I'll just you carry on and I'll have a check for you.
And I've also not got a result for Dewsbury Moor against Goole Vikings. But Newsom Panthers A defeated Stanley Rangers A by 32 points to 20. No result between Linley St Joseph's and Criggleston All Blacks. And it was Garforth Tigers 24, the Moortown Mambas 0. Apparently that was one where Moortown couldn't raise a side, unfortunately. Just the one fixture this coming Saturday sees Leigh Miners take on the Birkinshaw Blue Dogs.
Yeah, if you just run by me those that you didn't have, and I'll see what we've got here.
Yeah, so the first one was Guiseley Rangers up against Greetland All-Rounders.
Guiseley. Yeah, I can't find any for that one.
The next one was Dewsbury Moor up against Goole Vikings.
Yeah, that was Dewsbury Moor 28, Goole Vikings 10.
And then finally, Linley St Joseph's up against Criggleston All Blacks.
Well, Linley St Joseph's 34, Criggleston All Blacks 10.
Right, okay. So as I mentioned, just that one fixture this coming weekend, Leigh Miners hosting a Birkinshaw Blue Dogs in the Yorkshire Men's Trophy. But we do have fixtures on the way, I think, in a couple of weeks' time, where it's all getting started for the Yorkshire Men's League and the different competitions, and that's good. We mentioned before about the Barla Open Age National Cup. Now that takes centre stage this weekend, and we have a preliminary round. So this involves Lauca against Keighley Albion. We've already mentioned that one. Lucas Seal is the man in the middle for that one, and that's going to be being played at 2 o'clock up at Lauca this Saturday. Same time over at Halton Farmouth Hornets, Josh Pemberton is the man in the middle as they take on Cutsick Raiders. And then Dan Geddes, he's the man in the middle as Dudley Hill host Westgate ARL. And then in the National Cup preliminary round, this is one that might interest you, to be honest, Steve. So 1:30 kick-off, slightly earlier, Crossfields up against Featherstone Lions.
Yeah, I saw that one advertised, yeah.
So there's quite a few teams that have byes to the next round. That includes the aforementioned Birkinshaw Blue Dogs, Cockermouth Titans, Folly Lane, Hurstfinch, Murfield, Orrell St James, Rochdale Mayfield and Charleston Rovers all have byes to the next round, as do Siddal, Thatto Heath Crusaders, Upton and West Hull.
Upton, that's where we passed the other week.
We did.
Yeah.
Now, and I wonder, it must be tucked just off that street which we went down.
Yeah. There wasn't many housing estates around there. There were lots of fields.
There was lots of fields, yeah. Wide open spaces, and we know that outside backs love wide open spaces, don't we?
That's correct, yeah.
Right, where shall we go next, Steve?
Wherever you want to take us, Parker. I know there's a few interviews that you've been doing.
Well, there is. Maybe I should come across the first one then. What we'll do is we'll play this interview out first of all. So I caught up first of all with Stuart Simmons. He's the England Community Lions under-17s boss. He's going to be in charge of those 2 test matches that the Community Lions are going to be playing against France in July. He's gone through and picked his squad. And I want to just mention the squad first of all.
Yeah, fire away, man.
And then we'll hear the interview. So in that squad, it includes Alfie Milton from Featherstone Lions. He is the sole Yorkshire representative.
Really?
Yes. Jalen Conway comes in. He was represented the under-16s last season. Danny Stables and Keir Starkey all representing Hensingham. Ellis Clark and Lucas Tyra have made the squad from Leigh Miners Rangers. Rio Walker comes into the squad from Millham. Ethan Gaffney from Blackbrook Royals. Harry Townsend and Joseph Griffiths from Salford City Roosters. Owen Tyler Cole, Matthew Rolls and Elijah Deladriti coming from Gateshead Storm. So I know that they actually did trial in the Yorkshire.
Yeah.
So, but that's really impressive for me. That Gateshead Storm have got 3 players in this squad, and perhaps shows where the outlook is. To be fair, then we have Cassius Turner Walsh and Connor Hall from Wigan St Jude's, Seth Woodend from Barrow Island, Thomas Clark and Matty Creasy from Wathbrow Hornets, Matty Eden from Newton Storm, and Nathaniel Parker from Thatto Heath Crusaders. He's another guy that represented the under-16s last year.
Yeah.
So it's nice when you see players that have represented England previously make it into the following squad. And I think it really speaks volumes of the process that everybody goes through when they do the trials. That there is only 2 of those players that I've got in this squad this time around. But it is nice having that little bit of continuity as well, and guys that I've represented.
Yeah.
So there's lads like Fletcher Holgate has also done exactly that same route as well, where he's done 16s, 17s, 18s, and he's in the under-19 squad for, going over to the European Championships, so when they take place in July as well. Busy month as far as Community Alliance is concerned. So that's the squad.
Yeah, great to hear that Matty Eden from Newton Storm is in there, because it's great to have a representative from there. And I know if I'm not wrong, I think he's actually had his toe dips into the open age side as well.
There's a couple of these lads, to be honest. I know that Keir Starkey made his debut for Hensingham just the other week as well.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So, it is nice when you start seeing some of these lads coming through.
That's right, yeah.
And I think as well, if I'm not wrong, Ellis Clark, he was in the squad for Leigh Miners Rangers A last weekend when they took on Rochdale Mayfield.
Yeah.
So that's the 20-player squad. Let's hear the thoughts of Stuart Simmons.
Green Cooling scores with the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show.
Yes, once again we're chatting away, and we're going to be talking to none other than Stuart Simmons. He's the England Community Lions under-17s boss. How are you doing, Stuart? You okay, mate?
I'm very well, thank you, Dave. How are you?
Really good, thank you. Really good. So,
God.
I know last time we spoke, it was a busy time, wasn't it? Because at the time you was sort of like assessing and going round, and there was lots of different trials that were happening. Now the final squad has been announced, hasn't it? Tell us a little bit about that whole process, and then how you come down to like the final 20.
Yeah, obviously for these lads, the journey started back in late January, early February, where we was in and around the country, we went down in London, went over in Cumbria, Yorkshire and the North West, where we looked at over 220 lads who'd been nominated from the community clubs throughout that stage. And then obviously we assessed them on little skills, little modified games, tested them under a little bit of pressure, and what we got is we finally got our 60, where then we took the 60 into the trials, as you know, last week, the week before, yeah.
And was you happy with the sort of the skill level and sort of the intensity of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we was a little bit unsure, and then you're always wondering whether you pick the right calibre of lads and the players. But yeah, the full 60 that turned up on them trials, the standard was outstanding. We was really impressed with everyone who turned up on that day and what they offered, everything.
So it made your job a little bit more difficult then, I suppose, getting it down from that 60 to the 20.
Oh, it's been a real headache. It has, and we've been to and fro in. There was coaches there on the day doing the talent IDs for us, and then obviously everything was videoed, so which was good for us to review the videos, check it over, and just have a look at every single one and the individual, what they did on the day, really break it down. There was no rush. We wanted to make sure that we had a good look at everyone and what they could offer. And then we finally got down to our 20, which was released the other day.
Yeah, and I'm sort of having a look at that 20-player squad, and there's a good contingent from Cumbria, which is always nice to see, because those Cumbrian lads, they're like the glue that holds any of these squads together, aren't they?
Yeah. There's a good group of them there, and they went well on the day as well. There was also other lads in and around it who, in fact, they didn't quite get there, but it was tough for us, and it wasn't a case that there wasn't different players. It was just what we was looking for, and there was still quality players that we seen, and any one of them who was doing that 60 could have easily have been picked. It was just we had to break it down to that 20 and go through that tough call.
Just thinking about it though, I mean, sort of between now and over the course of the time when the lads are going to be training, if there's any injuries, can you draft any other players in? Would you? Have you got that?
Yeah. No, that option's there for us, and all those who didn't quite make it, they'll go on that reserves list just in case. And as you say, rightly so, it's a tough game, is rugby, and there could be injuries, there could be different circumstances, and even work, college commitment, it all makes a difference at the end of it. So yeah, we can call on them lads at any point.
I always like, as well, through doing what I've done with the Lions programme, looking for lads that have progressed, sort of through the age groups, so to speak. And there's two of these lads that we saw last year in the under-16s. So, I mean, that speaks volumes for them, doesn't it? That they've continued to stick at it, they've put the effort in. So you've got Jalen Conway from Hensingham, and then Nat Parker, who's now with Thatto. Both offering different things. One's a fullback, one's a halfback.
Yeah, and obviously we had the beauty of looking over last year's tapes as well and videos, and looking through what they offered and what they gave at the under-16s, which we liked, and it was good to see the progression, as you say, and see how far they've come. And both them players, they stood up on the day, and we were really impressed with them.
I want a quick word about Gateshead Storm as well, because they provided 3 members of this squad, which must be a record for them. But how good is that for North East Rugby League? Yeah,
and you know what though, the 3 of them was excellent on the day as well. We broke them all up so they was in different teams as well, so it wasn't a case of that they played together. So we did that in the trial games. We tried to just break teams up. But Gateshead, they came, all 3 of them, different positions, 1 and 9. It was a middle stroke fullback, believe it or not.
A middle or a fullback? Now yes. That offers you utility value.
Oh yeah, it was superb, and obviously the skill levels, their attitudes, the way they presented themselves, and the work rate they went through was unbelievable. So, rightly so, there's doing some good stuff out there, and them lads deserve this opportunity.
Yeah, I mean it's a big fillip, isn't it, for the game in the North East, to be fair, because I suppose over the last sort of couple of years out of COVID, they have found things a little bit tougher, haven't they? Obviously, I don't want to say that they're completely developing, because obviously there's a lot of work that's gone in there over the last 20-25 years, but they're still improving, aren't they? They're still looking to improve. So the fact that there's 3 of this squad that have come from that, it gives real impetus, and they can be held up as sort of like beacons for this is what you can do, really.
Yeah, and when you look back on all the skill levels and what they had, there's no different to what we see down here in the hotbeds as well. So they're being coached well. There's a good pathway for them there in the community game, and they're obviously out there, they're challenging themselves, and you could see that on the day. They stood up, they competed, and the skill was just as good as anybody else, if not better.
I mean, I'm guessing that you'll be really looking forward to seeing these guys over an extended period now, because they'll go into training, won't they, after Easter?
Yeah, that's the bit now. We've got a 6-week training session, or a programme ready for the 2 games in France. So we'll have to get ourselves sorted out on that side of it. We've got, a quick turnaround. We've got 5-6 sessions, as we say, a lot of the scats to get in as well, the SCAT 6 tests. So we've got a lot to fill in such a short space of time. But, the players we've took, that's what we look for. Lads who are coachable, lads who we can work with, lads who are going to be dedicated and and can get stuck in and do what we want, really.
And as we've already said, communication's always key, isn't it? You don't want like any shrinking violets who aren't going to talk to anybody. I'm guessing all of these lads must have impressed at some point over this process with the way that they've been able to talk.
Yeah, throughout that process, we did a little bit of educational stuff. So we did, obviously, broke them into 3 teams. We did all the brain health stuff with Gary Truman, which is a hot topic at the moment now, which rightly so as well. So we're just about educating the lads on that side of it, concussions and return to play, etc. And then Steve Mack did a wonderful job, as always, with the lads on the well-being side. So he worked on the growth mindset. And Steve challenges, as you know. He asked the lads to come out the shells, ask some questions and such like. So that was good for us to see how they reacted to the stuff that Steve did. And then with the coaches, we did a lot of the skills matrix. So previously, where we got them into the camp through assessing them on the day for what basic skills they had, we educated them what we was looking for on the videos. We showed some videos of footages, what we were looking for an England player, and we brought that skill aspect down. And we also then showed videos for them to speak up and see what they see as a coach's point of view. And they fed in as well to us as coaches, as a group. So you got that lads coming out the shell. They were talking, they were showing us what they know, the knowledge in the game, and basically just being the people they are, and we get a better understanding of who they are as a person.
There's some real 360 feedback in that, and which is really encouraging for me to hear, because, you know, as last year with that 16s group, there was probably about 3 or 4 of them which were a little on the quiet side, and it took them a little bit of a while to come out of the shell. So it's nice hearing that, you know, that extra 12 months can make all the difference, can't it? From like social skills, being able to talk, and just having more confidence in yourself, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that comes with age, doesn't it? I think when you're in them groups, and a lot of them, it might be the first time they're in an environment where they're not with the friends, and that's what you're looking for as well. Is it's all right to performing and playing well at the community clubs and around the mates, but when there's fresh faces and they've got to, as you say, speak to each other, get to know people and build them relationships, you need them players to talk, to come out the shells, and it is quite hard for some of them. We understand that, but that's our job to try and push them, and hopefully we can get the best out of them on and off the field.
Now, I can tell the standard of this must have been pretty high, because there's only one player from Yorkshire that's made it through, in Alfie Milton from Featherstone Lions. You know, I know that probably the difficult question, and a lot of people say, why is there not more kids from Yorkshire which have got picked in this squad?
Yeah, there was, to be fair, we did pick a few out. But obviously, with the community Lions, the pathway is they've got to play for community clubs. Mm-hmm. Since that, there's been a few then moved over. So the lads we did pick for that 60, they've signed on with Bradford. So Bradford took, I think it was short on the 60. We brought extras in. And since then as well, there's been other teams in and around trying to pick the players as well. So it is a grey area at the moment, because we're doing it and we want them to come in, experience and play for the country, but obviously there is a pathway for them. But for us, they've got to decide if they go that route, they're out. They come with us, then they stay with us. So that's something we've been trying to drill on to the lads as well, and really educate them that, yeah, we want you to go further, but if you do take that step, then you're out that in, and it's next man in.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I just thought I'd ask that question, because I'm sure there's people that would look at this and they're saying, how come there's no other lads in from Yorkshire? So thank you very much, you know, for sort of like going into a little bit of detail, you know, sort of regarding that. I also
there was a lad up in Yorkshire as well who couldn't make it. Right. So he's on a family holiday, believe it or not, yeah. So we were a little bit disappointed he couldn't come, but it's just circumstances, as you said. It's just wrong time for him, so... I
suppose that's another thing as well, isn't it? Yeah, that's another thing as well, because it's obviously an availability, because you want people to be available for the games. You don't want them, you know, there's no point in picking a lad and then him not being able to represent his country, is there?
No, and vice versa with the training camps as well. We want them to attend, and we want them to at least attend more than they can't. So that's what we try and stipulate to them as well, is, you know, we need the buy-in from them as players. It's going to be tough when we go to France, as you well know. Mm. So we've got a lot of work to do, and the more people we can get there and we can build as a group, we're going to be in a better place.
I do like it when there's a couple of the other I was going to say not lesser known clubs, but perhaps, the not as heralded clubs get representation as well. So, you've got a lad in there from Newton Storm, you've got a lad in there from Barrow Island, you've got lads from Salford City Roosters and Blackbrook as well.
Yeah, no, they're all good players, and it's quite hard for us because we don't really know. We have a little bit about them, and we do a little bit of research on some of them, but through the trials, as you probably know as well, Davies, but they're all numbers. Mm-hmm. And Alan's quite big on numbers and colours, so we're like black 6 or red 2, and that's kind of what you hear us all talking as coaches, and we're just looking at the number and the player in general under that number. So we don't really tend to look too much at clubs. We'll just look at the player and who stands out on the day, and wherever they're from, as long as they shine, then they'll be given that opportunity.
So all roads lead to France, and the journey starts 6th of April, doesn't it?
It does, yes, yeah, where we start the training camp, and then obviously they build up for them 2 games, which is going to be a challenge. It's going to be tough, as the pathway in the French team is a lot of them are the academy lads, so it is going to be a tough ask for us, but the players we've took is what we feel as though the team can go there and do right and play how we want to play as well. The French have a certain way there, so we need to make sure we can front that, shall we say, and obviously have that ability to play as well and adapt when we need to.
And to be fair as well, you're aware of the French as well, aren't you, and the way that they kind of approach things from your experiences last year.
Yeah. They will try and upset the apple cart and change it around and try and disrupt us as much as possible. But, we need to stay focused, and our lads will be well and truly prepared for that. They'll be prepped and we'll be hopefully ready to go when it comes to it, and we'll take all the emotion out of it, and hopefully we won't bite too much, and we'll go there and get the job done as we need to.
Stuart, I've enjoyed having this catch-up with you. I look forward to following the progress of the squad as we get a little bit closer to the trip, and joining you on it, and hopefully seeing maybe this time round a couple of wins for England Community Lions.
Yeah, that's the plan, mate. That's the plan. We're going to go there, and as we said to him on that first day, is we're not just picking a team that looks good. We're going to go there and get them 2 wins, and that's our main focus now going into it.
So great to hear from Stuart then, and I had to ask him about the lack of Yorkshire representatives. I thought, because he's bound to be being asked from elsewhere, and it was interesting to hear that, his response, and the fact that they did initially select a few other players, but since they were in the process, they've had to pull out because they've signed scholarship deals and sort of academy contracts elsewhere. So you can't pick those players.
And that's correct, isn't it? I mean, you've got to give the guys the whole idea of this setup was to give those sort of community players a chance to experience these sort of games. No matter which age group. So at the bottom line is, I think that's correct. I mean, what it does, like we've just seen there, it opens the door for a lot of other guys, and like you were saying, the guys from up in the northeast have sort of taken it up the offer, and
they've really grabbed their opportunity, haven't they? And I'm looking forward to meeting up with some of these guys and seeing how they train. I know it all starts for them this Saturday, so they're going to be having part of their very first session up against the under-19 squad, which is also meeting up, like at the weekend. So for those guys, it doesn't stop. They're just going to get stuck in, and it all bodes well, to be honest.
And where's that at? Okay.
That's going to be at Leigh Miners Rangers community venue up at Manchester Road. So that's where a lot of the younger age groups play for Leigh Miners Rangers. Fantastic venue, by the way. But looking forward to seeing how they get on, and who knows, maybe I can get the chance to have a natter with one or two, and we'll see what we can do for next week.
Very much so. Like we say, you speak to some of these guys and you stick a mic in front of them, and it's surprising how confident a lot of them are, aren't they? Which, I mean, at the end of the day, that's good. I mean, if you can go on a pitch and be confident and represent yourself, your family, your club, and obviously your country, really well, that bodes really, really well.
Now, we are at that time of year where, players are getting announced for international recognition, etc., etc. And Wales as well have announced a 24-player squad to go in the under-16s this year. So that features Harry Arthur from Swansea Rams, Matty Clatworthy from Bridgend Blue Bulls, Mason Daniels from Cynon Valley Cavaliers, Samuel Dickinson from Woolston Rovers, Harrison Flowers from Aber Valley Wolves. I wonder whether he's any relation to Ben Flower.
Yeah, that's an idea, yeah.
Could be. Josh Hardy, also from the Aber Valley Wolves. Isaac Holdsworth from Siddal comes into that squad. Joseph Johnson from Aber Valley Wolves. Jack Jones comes in from Cardiff Blue Dragons. Morgan Marozelli comes in from Aber Valley Wolves. Owen Martin from Bridgend Blue Bulls. Then we have Will Mathers from Kipax. Tyler Mills from Crossfields. He is Dave Mills' son, so he's the grandson
of Jim Mills.
Mills. So that's 3 generations of Welsh internationals. That's very proud for that family, isn't it? Cole Pelopeda comes in from Tarvan Tigers. Kevin Phillips from Aber Valley. Oliver Rees from Swansea Rams. Ralph Roberts from Halton Farmouth Hornets. Jake Shepherd from Tarvin Tigers. Harley Smith from Cynon Valley Cavaliers. Charlie Thomas from Swansea Rams. Ellis Thomas comes in from Bridgend Blue Bulls. Finley Walker from Aber Valley Wolves. Evan Williams from Tarvan Tigers. And Harvey Williams also from Aber Valley Wolves making up that squad. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they go, because generally when we've looked at the particularly the under-16 squad for Wales over this last couple of years, it's been very strong. There's been some excellent players that have been being picked up, and it shows just what job they're doing there, bringing these kids in, and there's more and more of them that are playing more and more rugby league now in their teens from more rugby union traditional areas. So for me, that's very encouraging.
Well, it is, and we've spoke about this in the past, how that is important, and certainly those who possibly don't make it at rugby union or feel that they want something different. I mean, then that pathway is there. That's the thing, isn't it?
Definitely. We've also had the men's fixtures revealed for the President's Cup. So action was meant to get underway this very night, actually.
That's right, yeah.
Initially, there was meant to be games taking place at Loch Lane, but the inclement weather has put paid to those.
I can see Eddie cringing as we
He's cringing again. So they've had a bit of a rejig as far as the scheduling's concerned. So the competition gets underway Wednesday, April the 24th. England students take on Great Britain Police with a 6 p.m. kickoff. Great Britain teachers take on the Armed Forces at 8 p.m. Both of those games taking place at Wigan St Pat's. Then on Wednesday, May the 22nd, it's England students up against Great Britain teachers at 6. Great Britain Police host the Armed Forces at 8. Both of those Oral St James, just in case you fancy going along to that one, Steve. I'm sure I know how much you like these local fixtures, so we've got 2 of them which are not too far away from here, which is good. And then finally we have, and these are usually to decide who wins the competition, but you never know this year. This year it could be different. On Wednesday, June the 5th, Great Britain Police will take on the Great Britain Teachers at 6. England students up against the UK Armed Forces at 8, both at Loch Lane.
Who won it last year? Was it the students who won it last year?
It was the students who won it last year, but in previous years it's one of those where it's gone the way of the students or the Armed Forces. 2 tremendous sides.
Yeah.
You go from strength to strength up against each other. But, maybe one of the others will start to go forward.
Yeah.
I know certainly the police is looking to try and get more people involved. I saw an advert for the West Yorkshire.
Yes, I saw that
very recently
Yeah.
as well, saying that they're after new blood.
Yeah.
So again, I want to mention it. So if you're in the police service, you're in the police force, and you have a bit of a rugby league background, or even if you don't, you just fancy giving it a whirl, then West Yorkshire Force, they're trialling at the moment, and I know that you can get in touch with them. Have a look on Twitter and Facebook, and you'll find all the details.
Yeah, and the thing is with these competitions, it brings a lot of the players who we tend to know from the community game and NCL, North West Men's, Yorkshire Men's League, who play out and about there, so suddenly they're doing more representative rugby, and it doesn't have to be specifically from a national point of view. You know, you're still coming together with other players who you would normally possibly play against rather than play with.
Yeah, I mean, you said that though, but they're all pulling on an England shirt in some degree, aren't they? You know, so you've got Great Britain teachers, you've got Great Britain police, you've got the armed forces, the best of the armed forces all taking, and then you've got the England University student side, which is normally very strong and usually has players that are on the fringes, if not getting regular rugby in like League One and even Championship in some respects as well. So the standard's pretty good. Yeah. You know, of the President's Cup.
It's competitive as well, isn't it?
It is. So looking forward to those, and it's a bit of a Brucey bonus, to be fair, that we've got 2 games over this side of the Pennines. We've got 4 games over this side of the Pennines, 2 nights, and all looking good there. Right, I want to talk National Conference League now, Steve. And I want to start with your game.
Oh, my game. Yeah, that was an interesting one. Let's. I've got a bit of a match report here on as well. Yeah, me putting pen to paper. Well, I didn't put pen to paper actually.
You didn't chuck it all into AI, did you?
I'm not going to say anything, Parker. I'm not going to say anything. All I can say is that I was over at Thatto Heath Crusaders the weekend, and I saw them secure a convincing 22 points to 6 victory over Egremont Rangers in a hard-fought NCL Premier Division encounter at Close Street. And as I said, that was on Saturday. Both teams came into the match with a bit of an inconsistent form, but Thatto emerged triumphant thanks to a strong second-half performance. The Crusaders were wasting no time in asserting their dominance. Jamie Aldroyd crossed over for the opening try in just the 7th minute, with Connor McCallum adding the conversion. Ryan Oulton further extended Thatto's lead shortly afterwards, capitalising on the loose ball and sprinting the length of the field to score under the post. Pilling once again slotted the conversion for a comfortable 12-0 lead. Got to say about that try, he went and he was dogged all the way. It was that way. It wasn't a straight run. He got so far, and they had to do a weaving run just to shake off the defender who very nearly got him, but he did manage to go under the post. But got to say then, Egremont refused to surrender though, and they weren't going to go down without a fight. And Quinn Wright barged his way through the Thatto Heath defence on the 27th minute to score a try, which was converted by Beech, narrowed the deficit to 12 points to 6 at half time. In the second half belonged to Thatto Heath, though. Egremont's momentum from before the break was stifled by a string of penalties and unforced errors. The referee was strict on his enforcement of high tackles, incorrect play of the balls, and this disrupted Egremont's rhythm. While Thatto capitalised on favourable conditions with strategic kicking game. From that point of view, as I say, it was a freezing cold day. It was wind was on and off, because you get a really strong breeze coming in, and it was a cold breeze. And it seemed that Thatto, whether it was a purpose, I don't know, but they seemed to exploit it. And within the game itself, they had 3 40-20s, which I thought was absolutely superb. I think a couple of them were from Lewis Foster, who had a good game, I must admit. Then as I said, the three 40-20 kicks forced Egremont into their own half. And Brad Ashurst, returning from a 2-year absence, capitalised with a try in the 43rd minute. Pellin added another try in the corner to seal the win for Thatto. That try from Ashurst, he'd come on as substitute. And I don't think he'd been on that too long, but whether he injected himself in the game purposely, in the fact that he hadn't played for a good while, but you could see that, he just wanted to make a few more of them sort of hard runs. I mean, don't get me wrong, the forwards from Thatto, Jamie Tracy, etc., were, sort of really ripping in, but he just seemed to bring something slightly different. And he drove in and he spun in the tackle as he was near the line and went over. That, and then obviously the try at the end brought the back for Egremont. But they were their own worst enemy to a certain degree, Egremont, because they gave loads of unforced penalties away. And as I said there, the referee was keen on things with regards to the three sort of areas that they're looking at keenly this year, as he was saying, the high tackles, the play the ball and not square. And to be fair, he was saying for both sides. And near the end, there was a couple of players. Lewis Foster was one who got sin-binned for 10 minutes for dissent, and then there was a player from Egremont as well got sin-binned, and it was frustration over the penalties because it was, as I said, the game was hard enough, whether or not with conditions, trying to get some momentum, but that made it even worse. But speaking to Mike Woods, like he was saying, we call for these things to be brought in, or obviously to tidy things up, etc. And when they're penalised, the thing is then players start, everything that happens, then players start appealing for everything, and it's a bit, you're thinking, is that the right way to go about the game? And it was a shame, because neither side could really get in a rhythm, and both sides can play a lot better. There's no ifs and buts about it, because we've seen them do that. Thatto will be pleased with the dominant display in the second half. They effectively shut down Egremont's attack and capitalised on the opponent's mistakes. And as I said, Egremont on the other hand, they'll need to address that discipline, sort of just to find a way to maintain the momentum throughout the game. But yeah, it was good. A couple of things. One, the Egremont side were all wearing odd socks.
Okay.
I thought, what's happened here? Can they not get a sponsor for socks? But then I was talking on what it was for. From what I can gather, last week was they were sort of celebrating Down Syndrome Day. So that's what it was for.
Well, they had Down Syndrome Day, but also World Down Syndrome Week as well. Yeah. So that was all part of it.
Yeah.
It's something that was, they were quite keen to put on social media as well. But yeah, it's really good when clubs are getting involved with things like that, isn't it? And raising awareness.
Yeah, and can I tell you how tough these Cumbrians are?
Go on.
Egremont didn't go in at half time.
I
told you, it was bitterly cold. But they stayed out on the touchline, waiting for Thatto Heath to come out. And and right at the beginning as well, they went warm up, everything on the pitch, didn't go in to come back out, stayed on the pitch.
They just needed a big coat. What's all this going in at half-time business?
I tell you. But yeah, I caught up with the guys the guy who does a lot of the social media for Egremont, which we go on about. He's absolutely, they do a top-class job. And I was speaking to him how he goes about it, and he was saying a lot of it he preps beforehand. So he has, sort of things lined up that he can just obviously push the buttons as and when the tries are done, etc., and crack on and do it that way. And his fingers were bitterly cold because, as I say, he was tweeting away there, and there was a couple of times I know there was one who made a mistake on the last try for Thatto Heath, but seconds later he corrected his error, but he was saying his fingers were that cold, and I can totally understand. But yeah, poor day from a weather point of view. Sorry, Eddie, we're on about the weather again. But from a game, they made the best of what were, sort of trying conditions.
I see what you did there. Trying conditions.
Oh, yeah.
See, excellent. Well, elsewhere in the Premier Division, Yeah, you guessed it, weather affected. It was a tight contest up at Kells, ended up an 8 points each draw with Hunslet. Now, this was despite Kells outscoring the champions by 2-1. So Grant Gainford and Louis Smith going over tries for the hosts. Craig McShane responding for Hunslet. Jordan Gale kicking 2 goals. I do believe, though, because it was played on the pit field, where they've got 2 pitches that they use up at Kells.
Yeah.
And the pit field is like right at the side of the cliff.
Yeah.
And the wind that howls in from that North Sea can affect any sort of kicker. So the fact Jordan Gale's gone and grabbed himself 2 holes there is probably of huge benefit, but there were a succession of other misses where on any other field, on any other day, would probably have either gone close or gone over the posts. But that's a fantastic result that for Kells. And I'm led to believe that they played much the better rugby in that one. But you can never totally discount Hunslet, can you?
No.
They get stuck in. They're not champions for nothing.
No, and that's it. If you can win when you're not at your best, or even if you can at least not lose, that is a big gain there.
Now, over at Loch Lane, they seem to be struggling a little bit at the start of the season. They have had a new coaching team that's took over there, of course. Well, they were up against promoted Heath, and from what I can gather from speaking to a couple of players from Loch Lane, Heath were good value. They played some nice stuff. We know they can do anyway. They ended up scoring tries to the villagers through Briggs, Richmond, Sadler and Sturdy, with Allen kicking 3 goals. He's key to all the good bits, is Allen at halfback. He's very much one of these clever players, a statuesque type of standoff where things just flow off him. And he's really good to watch. So if you're ever in a position, Steve, where you can go and watch Heath, look out for their tall, statuesque number 6, and he'll do a tremendous job there. Loch Lane scored tries through Martin and Newbold, Butler grabbing a goal, but it wasn't enough for Heath. Got away to win that one by 22 points to 10. It was a game a few points over at Rochdale Mayfield, who accounted for York Acorn by 20 points to 0. 2 tries from Lewis Butterworth being the highlight there. Wright and Connolly also going over, with Parr kicking 2 goals for the hosts. It was just 8 points to 0 at half time in that one.
That's interesting, that one, Parker, because obviously we've seen York Acorn when we were over there from the Challenge Cup exploit. So if they're being kept scoreless, that's a good result for Rochdale Mayfield. Cracking
result that actually for Mayfield, and it was a good result for Siddal as well. So after losing their first couple of games of the season, they defeated none other than West Hull by 20 points to 6. Now this was after they trailed to West Hull at half time, 6 points to 4. West scoring the try through Masik and the goal from Wilson, but in the second half there were tries from Milnes, Walsh, Harry Williams and particularly young Greenwood, who we mentioned. He's the little Quicksilver hooker that played in the Challenge Cup, who's returned to Siddal after a stint in Australia, and the fullback Lewis Hostic hoisted a couple of goals as well. He's a class player as well. So it finished Siddal 20, West Hull 6. Then we have that game you was at, Thatto Heath Crusaders 22, Egremont Rangers 6, Wathbrow Hornets 36, West Bowling 18. So a couple of tries there for McCourt, a couple of tries there for Sam Kerwin as well, who also kicked 4 goals. Caddy, Holgate and King, the other try scorers for Wathbrow. Meanwhile for Bowling, Rushforth, Light and Galtrus got themselves over the line. 3 goals from the boot of Cole. That was just 18-12 at half time, so it sounds like a really good second half from Wathbrow, again in trying conditions. Over in Division 1, it was Clockface Miners 20, Skirler 12. Josh Oliver getting himself on the scoreboard in that one, and Miners scoring through Hughes, Jones and Price, who grabbed 2 tries. Gerrity kicking a couple of goals there. Dewsbury Moor Maroons advancement in Division 1 is impressive. They've won their 4th game in succession. They defeated Wigan St Pat's by 24 points to 6. A couple of tries there from Clarkson. Berry and James and Burland also going over the line. Woodcock kicking 2 goals. For Pats, the sole try for them came courtesy of Danny Riding. O'Donnell kicking the goal. It was just 8-6 at half time. I'm really impressed with what Dewsbury Moor Maroons are doing in this division so far. They're just like a duck. They've taken to it, haven't they?
Yeah, Well, we've seen this with some teams in the past, haven't we? Where they've got on the roll and they've just gone through the divisions.
Yeah.
And it's looking at the moment. I mean, I don't want to, be the Grim Reaper. It looks as though they're doing a good job there.
Also in Division 1, Ince Rosebridge 18, Crossfields 24. They've made a good start to the season as well. Crossfields, just a 1 defeat so far in 4 games. Try scored for the Soap through Walker, Taylor, Holiday, Steele and Brown. Again, goal kicking split between Taylor and Stanway. You could only muster 2 goals between them. So that's one issue where I think they're going to be looking, thinking, we need to get a little bit more consistent with the goal kicking. But if they keep winning games, then maybe goal kicking won't count. But I just get the feeling it's going to count against them at some point.
There's going to be some point where it's going to catch them up, I think.
Kieran Eccleston going in for a try. Young Harry Penny and Valentine going over. Robbie Valentine kicking 3 goals as well for the hosts, but it wasn't quite enough to overcome Crossfields on the day. Oulton Raiders 30, Stanley 18. Really impressive, this one. We'll hear a little bit more about this game in just a little while from Matty Stableford, who I spoke to when he was doing the training session for the England Community Lions on Sunday. But that's a really good result up against Stanley. So Holdsworth going in for a try. Powell, Lowry, Brown, Watson and Blagg also scoring tries for the hosts at Oulton. 3 goals from Kieran Walpole for Stanley. Salkeld, Shires and Phipps going over the line. Taylor kicking 3 goals. But they had it all to do, to be fair, did Stanley, trailing by 20 points to 0 at half time. Waterhead Warriors picked up perhaps what is surprisingly only their first win of the season, but impressively it came against Leigh Miners Rangers. We'll also hear a little bit about that game as well, because I got to speak to Andy Philbin. So obviously I like doing this because I can get to have a bit of a chat and see what's what and who's going as well. We'll also hear from Connor McCallum as well from Siddal, a little bit more about how they've started the season as well, but that's to come. 26 points to 16 for Waterhead Warriors. Dodd, Brennan, Lynch, Bridge and Fogarty scoring tries for the Warriors. 3 goals from the boot of Brennan. Miners scoring tries themselves through Ashworth, Lancelot and Hamer.
Is that again Lancelot?
He is. Owen Hoyle's kicking a couple of goals there. Leigh Miners Rangers though trailing by 14 points to 4 at half time, not really recovering from that. Woolston Rovers are another one that's starting to kick a little bit in Division 1. They collected their 2nd win of the season. It came against struggling Hull Dockers. Harry Files once again the hero with a hat-trick. Phillips, Adam Files and Dixon going in for their other tries. Lawton kicking 5 goals. Meanwhile, for the Dockers, there were tries from Heel, Platt, Sudderby, Thompson and Harrison. Sudderby kicking 4 goals. But again, it was another one of these games where for Hull Dockers, they trailed 22 points to 10 at half time. You can't really go giving away 20 points in a half, can you, and expect to get something from it. Although we do have an interesting tale to tell you from Division 3, but that's to come in the next couple of minutes. In Division 2, it was Barrow Island 18, Normanton Knights 16. A real close run affair, this one. Max Anderson Moore, Carl McBain and Ford going in for tries for Ireland. Sam Jones kicking 3 goals. Meanwhile, for the Knights, it was Barker and Joe Crossland and Hinchcliffe who ended up scoring tries for them, with Hinchcliffe kicking 2 goals. 18 points to 16 there for Barrow Island. And Ellenborough Rangers, they had a fantastic victory against Pilkington Rex by 36 points to 6. Zach Alstrom scoring a couple of tries. Todd, the prop forward, getting a hat-trick. All the tries going the way of Bell and Mumberson. chipped in with 6 goals.
6 goals.
For the Rex, well, it was a lone try from Morris. I bet it was off that hook ball.
Yeah.
With the conversion going the way of O'Connell. It was only 12 points to nil at half time, though, so it sounds like Ellenborough Rangers did a bit of a job in the second half there. I know they were struggling a little bit for numbers with Pilkington Rex. A certain Jamie Smith named himself again in the team on his return. But yeah, hopefully there's better times ahead for Pilkington Rex.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there will be. I think this one would have been affected by the weather. Millom 12, Dewsbury Celtic 4. So Lupton and O'Brien scoring the tries for Millom, Evans kicking 2 goals, and for Celtic just the 1 try coming the way of Kelly. It was just 6 points to 4 at half time in that one, so a real nip and tuck sort of game. And over Oldham St Anne's, Shawcross Sharks have had a brilliant start to the season, currently 4 from 4. They beat Oldham St Anne's 24 points to 14.
This was one I highlighted, if you remember last week, Parky, just with us having seen Oldham St Anne's, and we knew Shawcross were flying. And the seats, Oldham had Pogson back as well.
Yeah, but he made a return, scored a try and kicked a goal, but it wasn't enough to guarantee them victory. Aykroyd and Fletcher also going in for tries for Oldham St Anne's. Meanwhile, Shawcross Sharks, they were well served by Tomlinson, the back rower, with a try and 3 goals. Frayne, French and Murray also scoring tries for the Sharks. Stevenson adding the other goal. It was 18 points to 10 at half time in favour of Shawcross Sharks. So that sounds like they've had it all to do in the second half to keep Oldham St Anne's at bay. But that's a class win for them on the road, isn't it? And then we have Saddleworth Rangers 18, Wigan St Jude's 20. So Saddleworth were leading by 12 points to 10 at half time in that one. Kenway, Charles and Taylor scoring tries for the home side. McManus kicking 3 goals. Meanwhile for Jude's, Neefsey, Turner, Parkinson and Palmer were the scorers. Danny Cassidy with 2 goals. And a narrow victory for Wigan St Jude's. A win that takes them 3rd in the early table. So it's a notable victory, that one, to be fair, on the road at Saddleworth. And then last but not least, in Division 2, we have Thornhill Trojans 30, Myton Warriors 14. So that win from Thornhill moves them into the top 6. And they had a couple of tries to cheer from winger Liam Pritchard. Craven and Rye Ward going in for a couple of tries there as well. Impressive from Rye Ward. He's been out injured for quite some time, but he's made a try scoring comeback similar to what you were talking about with Brad Ashurst. He's a second row, and he's a lad that does particularly well when he's on the field for Thornhill. So they'll be really pleased to get him back. Joel Gibson kicking 5 goals.
Good display that. Like we were saying earlier on, it's if you get somebody who can slot those over, then you can bank those.
There was a couple of tries for the Warriors from Ricky Robinson. Brooke also scoring the other try. Sanderson kicking 1 goal from 3 attempts. Well done to Bentley. They hosted Featherstone Lions and defeated them by 20 points to 16. Ryan Craswell and Jordan Seaman scoring their tries. He grabbed 2. Harmer grabbing the other score there with goal split between Craswell and Sykes. Meanwhile for the Lions, there was 2 tries from Bell, a try from Mountain, and 2 goals from Johnson. It was 14-8 at half time there. But that's a good result, that, for Bentley.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we said, didn't we, after they got beat by Enzingham, wasn't it, that that was their first game, and they showed, well, there were signs there.
Definitely. Milford 12, Driglington 26. So Milford scoring tries through Clark and Wilson. Payne kicking a couple of goals there. For Driglington, Sanderson, Blake, Hallis and Wright got over the line for tries. Sanderson also added 5 goals. They've made a really positive start to the season of Drig with 2 wins from the first 3 matches, and it's a similar sort of score as well for Leigh East. They went up to Seaton Rangers, who had a try through Kerwin and a goal from Bryan, but ultimately Leigh East proved a little bit too strong for them. There was a couple of tries from Andy Ball at hooker, couple of tries for Kieran Prescott as well from fullback, and Graney scoring the other one there, with goal split between Aspinall, who kicked 3, and Prescott, who kicked 1. And I think we're leaving the best game of the weekend for last here, and talk about a game of two halves. So at half time, if you're a Dissington fan, you'd be thinking, hey, we're having it nice and easy again.
This game's easy, isn't it?
In the National Conference League, we're top of the division. We're at this stage only conceded 6 points in 3.5 games, leading by 20 points to 0. They've scored tries through Rook, Spate and Penrice. George has kicked 4 goals, but then they didn't anticipate a fight back to end all fight backs, to be honest, in the second half. Get this, Beverley scored 26 points in the second half, only allowing Dissington to add a goal. And that was a goal which put them in front in the 75th minute, and they were thinking, we're going to hold out here. But Tom Burnett crossed for his hat-trick score to nudge the game back in Beverley's favour. Rowan and Matthews were the other try scorers. Poskett kicking 3 goals as well, which means that Dissington, they still stay top of the league. They've played 4 matches, they've won 3. We saw 1 loss there now, and I'm also looking as well. Beverley, just the 1 game played so far this season. So that's, they've had a couple of call-offs because of things going on, and
the weather,
etc., and pitch conditions. But if we look at each of these divisions, you've got Hunslet out on top by a point in the Premier Division. Westhull, Rochdale, Mayfield, Siddal, Wafborough Hornets and Thatto tucked in just behind them. In Division 1, you've got Dewsbury Maroons out on top with 8 points, Crossfields with 6, Oulton Raiders in 3rd, Leigh Miners Rangers in 4th, Ince-Roxbridge 5th, Woolston Rovers in 6th. In Division 2, you've got Shawcross Sharks out on top, 4 from 4th thus far, and 110 points scored in those 4 games as well. So they're going along a pretty good rate of knots at the moment, aren't they? Wigan St Jude's currently in 2nd. Strangely, they've conceded 4 more points than they've actually scored on this table. Dewsbury Celtic tucked in just behind them. Normanton Knights in 4th currently. Ellenborough Rangers in 5th, Thornhill Trojans in 6th, and then in Division 3 it's Dissington out on top, Leigh East in 2nd spot, Hensingham in 3rd, Driglington in 4th, Beverley, despite only playing 1 match, in 5th, Bentley in 6th position thus far. There is no fixtures this coming weekend in the National Conference League. This is due to it being Easter week, but fixtures will resume again on the 6th of April when we've got a Division 3 clash coming your way, haven't we? So we're going to be over at Leigh East for their game up against East Leeds. Got friends in both camps, to be fair. Really looking forward to how that one's going to go. And I know that when I was chatting to Kieran Prescott on Sunday, he was saying, he says, it'd be great to have you back again, Dave. Great to have you back. But I don't know whether it might be a kiss of death, because you know my record.
The old Grim Reaper is back again.
But yeah, that should be a great game. So that's going to be featuring on our Mixler channel.
In fact, I think Mike Woods was glad you weren't with me on the weekend, by the way.
Oh, was he? Did he get mentioned in the dispatches again?
I'm sure you were in his thoughts when he seen me roll up.
But we've still got a couple of interviews to bring you. So as I've already mentioned a couple of times, we had the England Community Lions Open Age Squad having the first full training session over at Pilkington Rex. I've got to say, what an amazing club. Okay, so we were all down there for 8:30 in the morning, and there was a whole host of kids waiting to get in to use the facility, which didn't open till 9 o'clock. And the place was just buzzing the way through until everybody left at like 12:30. It was a really good session, to be honest, which included the full train-on squad of 27 players, and there was plenty of laughter, plenty of banter going on. It seems like there's a really good group of players, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
It's good to get that.
Yeah, it sounds like the bonding, doesn't it? Sounds
very
like
much so.
And,
very
and,
much
and
so.
if you can do that at an early stage like that, then
Yeah. So it was great to be in the company of these guys, and as last time out, I've got 3 interviews to bring you. So the first one that we're going to hear from is none other than Matty Stableford of Oulton Raiders. So I asked him a little bit, first of all, about the game that he'd played, and then about his journey in rugby league, because he's not that long back out of the pro ranks.
Matty Stableford.
Okay, so I'm joined by Matty from Oulton. Matty, first of all, we're here from a Lions point of view. How are you finding the experience so far, mate?
Oh, it's been brilliant. It's good to get in amongst lads who played against and you know, the other top players from other teams, and the standards have been really good today. It's a good session.
It's the first proper session, isn't it? 'Cause I know last time was like introductions, all that type of stuff. How did you find it? 'Cause there was a right mix of skills and all the other bits that go on, wasn't there?
Yeah, real quality, very, very fast. But yeah, everyone's skill were up there. Everyone's trying to impress still. So yeah, the quality was good this morning.
So tell me a little bit about yourself as well, and the fact that you play for Oulton Raiders.
Yeah, I've played for Oulton. That's been my amateur team all my life. Started there when I'm 5 years old. But yeah, really loving it down there. It's like my second home. I'm there that much. But yeah, it's a great place to be.
And tell me a little bit about your kind of like your rugby journey. You know, so have you come all the way through the age ranks with Oulton? And
yeah, I started there off as like I say, 5 years old till I was 16. Signed into Rhinos Academy for 2 years, and then went to Bradford for a year. And then I had a year out. Then after that, I kind of just fell out of love with it a little bit. Found myself back down at Oulton, and since then just taken off last 5, 6, 7 years, sort of just absolutely loving open age rugby and loving that standard. And then a couple of years ago, tested myself in League One with Hunslet. Enjoyed that bit of a challenge. Got 2 young kids now, so the amateur game works a bit better for me, and with my life and work.
What got you back? Because I know you know it's nice speaking to somebody who's been through that experience and kind of almost got spat out of the other side.
Yeah. And
then you ended up coming back to rugby league. How did you get back into it?
I didn't play for about a year. I didn't really finding it enjoyable anymore for some reason, whether it were stuff didn't work out in academies and stuff like that, and I had a bit of time out, and it only took me to play once. I got asked to play 1 game, and as soon as I did, I just got the itch for it straight away again, and you just get hooked. It's addictive, and yeah, I just led on from there, and I just really enjoy myself now.
And I mean, you look like you're enjoying yourself. I've had the pleasure of seeing you a couple of times when the NCL cameras have been trailed on you. Yeah. Granted, results perhaps haven't gone the way when you've been on telly, you know, but you've always looked like you've been in the thick of it and really enjoying it this last couple of years.
Yeah, really enjoying it. Like I say, I think last time we were on TV, it was final against you, which didn't go to plan. But yeah.
I wasn't trying to mix it in, honest.
No, it's fine. Just about over it now. Bringing it back up. No, but enjoy myself, and yeah, that's my role. Just get in the mix of it. That's my job. I'm never going to make an 80-metre try or all like that. I just get in the mix of it in a game and try my best.
Let's talk about Oulton start to the season. As you mentioned, big disappointment at the end of last year, but you know, particularly the last couple of weeks, things picking up.
Yeah. Had a bit, I won't say a shaky start. I thought we were unlucky first week. It was an absolute mudbath at Woolston, and kind of a bit of a leveller in the game. Just got behind, just couldn't get it back, and then we played Leigh Miners week after, and it could have gone either way. I think 3 tries apiece and kicks just between us, but that could have gone either way. And then the last 2 weeks we kind of spoke as lads, we need to up it and get back on track to winning ways, and we blitzed Hull Dockers week before and had a good win against Stanley yesterday. So yeah, we're on the up now, I think.
It was a cracking win that yesterday, wasn't it? You know, because I mean, I saw Stanley a little bit earlier this season. They look like they're up for it this year.
Yeah, we were red hot yesterday. I thought we were really good. I think after the first 25 minutes we were 20 up, and we looked at control full game. Got a little bit scrappy in second half, but yeah. We never looked like losing the game. It was one of them. We were good yesterday.
And it's nice a couple of the more experienced lads coming back as well at Oulton. I noticed that Eddie Ellsworth on the score sheet again.
Oh, Adrian Ellsworth's been try machine so far this season. I think 5 or 6 he's on for, but he's great. He's stepped up great. We've got a lot of young kids and new lads. We've got a new halfback partnership who for the last couple of weeks, and his chat's been great. He's really led from the outside back sort of perspective, so he's been going great.
Excellent. Who have you got next up?
I think we've got Wigan St Pat's away. I'm sure we have. Yeah.
So tough for you, that.
Yeah, tough game. That it's always a tough place to go, and obviously they've just come down, so they'll be wanting to bounce straight back up. But I think we just stick to what we've been doing the last couple of weeks and just go hard again and hopefully get another 2 points. No
doubt I'll have a catch up with you again as we go through the year with these sort of Lions meets. But great to have a chat with you, and best of luck moving forward, mate.
No, thank you very much, mate. Cheers.
Thank you. All right for you, mate.
Every tackle, every try, every scrum. Green Cooling is proud to be part of the Community Rugby League family.
So Matty Stableford there for Oulton Raiders, and again I thought it was really interesting speaking to him because he's another one of these guys that he got hoovered up into the academy system from an early age, played for Leeds Rhinos, played for Bradford, then took some time out, but has ended up back in the community game where he's played up until a recent spell with Hunslet, where again he played 13-14 games the season before last in League One. So he's a player that is skilled enough to be able to go higher, but he's happy. You heard him there say about, things have changed for him with having a couple of young kids.
Yeah, and we say this not just about having kids, but sort of life in general. Whether you get married, whether jobs, sometimes you can your actual job that you have can be sort of from a financial point of view can be more sort of the big bread winning sort of money that comes in. So you've got to think, well, do I go for sort of playing for championship sides, or do I sort of just enjoy my rugby league playing, with my mates and getting on with my job and earning, the money in that respect.
But yeah, great to hear his story, and
good speaker, isn't he? Very good speaker.
It sounds as well that Oulton are getting things together again, aren't they? I know that they were particularly disappointed with how they performed in the final game of last season, because they got all the way through to the grand final in Division 1 and then didn't really show up for it. But yeah, I think they're up for it this season, and Matty, as you said, he leads from the front. Yeah, he's a prop forward and speaks really, really well. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to
when he's
seeing
speaking about his colleagues, though, the other players, he's quite content to sort of say how well they are playing, and obviously the young guys coming through, etc. I mean, that just shows that he cares about the team and not just his own performance.
Yeah, very much so. Right, we've got another interview coming up. So now we're going to hear from Andy Philbin from Leigh Miners Rangers. So his brother is currently on a testimonial with Warrington Wolves. For Andy's another one of those guys who, for some reason, it didn't really go that same way for him, but he has been, for a long while now, one of the top performers for Leigh Miners. Let's hear from him.
Okay, I'm joined by Andy Philbin. Andy, first of all, we're here from a Lions point of view. Yeah. How did you find the session, mate?
Yeah, it was good. It was fast. I enjoyed it.
And obviously there's all kinds of different things that get involved in these, media duties, having clip microphones on and that. How have you found that?
Yeah, it's different, just got to embrace it, I think, and see what happens. Yeah, it's different though.
I want to ask you, as well about Leigh Miners starts the season, bit of a mixed start, but you've had a couple of good results and lost out yesterday.
Yeah, I think when we went to play Patson first game, we probably didn't have our best game adapting to the rules, and I think second half they ran away with it. But the last 2 games we were good, we were tough, and then we played Waterhead, which is a bit of an eye-opener, I think, for us. On Saturday, they probably just like old man us out of it a bit, played the conditions better. But other than that, yeah, it's looking positive.
Little birdie was telling me that's the first time you'd ever been up to Waterhead.
Yeah, it was very cold, so I'm glad I won't be going back this season.
Yeah, I have to admit, you know, it's right next to where Oulton used to play.
Yeah, it was an experience.
And so, who have you got coming up next?
I think we've got Clockface at home, so I don't really know much about Clockface. I've not seen them. I think they come up last season, but yeah, I think every week's different.
They're a similar sort of side to yourselves at the moment, at Miners, in that there's quite a mixture of players that are coming through the ranks.
Yeah, like I say, I don't know much about them, to be honest with you. But every week's tough. It's just about grinding out results, especially when conditions have been so bad recently. It's just about grinding out the games, which is probably what we came unstuck with last Saturday against Watford.
You mentioned about the new rules.
Not too bad personally. I know a lot of people don't like them and that, but you can't change them, so you've just got to adapt. And yeah, I got a few eye tackles on me, so it's not too bad.
I was just about to say, because I'm almost on a pair of stepmothers interviewing you, to be honest.
Yeah, so I had a few penalties for that.
Andy, thank you very much.
Rugby League's secret weapon, Green Cooling, scores with the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show.
Tell you what, he's tall, he's Andy Philbin. Yeah, that's why we got all the wind there, because I was holding the microphone up to his mouth.
You were on a pair of step ladders, so that's what I'm saying.
He's huge. He's a really nice fella, and some of the media duties that they were talking about is come the end of the month, I'm sure that I can reveal this, the England Community Lions are launching an Instagram account. So there was a couple of staff members there from the RFL who were taking little videos and getting the lads to introduce themselves. Yeah. But it was quite funny because, as I mentioned, the place was absolutely heaving. You know, so all the junior sides are all playing on the Sunday morning. They had to keep stopping it because there was loads of kids that kept rolling back to the clubhouse and stuff. So it took them a little while, you know, to sort of get these things, and it was funny, some of the answers, because they had each player going in front of the camera, and they got to go in from a certain angle and go, "Hi, I'm such and such a body from wherever." Yeah. And then once they'd done it once, and they were all in like their own club gear, which was really nice. Once they'd done it once, they had to do it all again, this time giving a bit of advice that they would give to a young player. You know, so some of them answers were rather interesting, you know, but I'll leave it there for now. Now, my final interview of this particular show comes from Connor McCallum from Siddal. Now, admittedly, you'll hear him talking this. I asked him about the start to Siddal's season and the fact that they've been so good over the recent couple of weeks, and he admitted that he didn't really play much of the game against West Hull. But let's hear from him. He's another great speaker, by the way.
Got to ask, interesting start to the season for Siddal. How do you think you're going?
Yeah, it's been a good pre-season, to be fair. We've got Jake Connor down from Huddersfield as assistant coach, and we've got Inge, who used to play for us back in day, and they've kind of just given us a bit of a boost from last year, kind of going on from last year, and got a good stride. You know, we first game at season against Hunslet, you know, narrowly came out and lost on 6-4 at home. Could have been a draw, should have been a win. Again, went to Mayfield the week after, 12-0 up, and then they came back and beat us at their ground, tough place to go. So, but then we've bounced back these last 2 weeks. Put a good number on West Bowling, and then yesterday put another good number on West Hull, who have not lost this season. So we've managed to give them their first loss this season at home, which is a good boost for the lads.
That'll be one of those games as well that the rest of the league will sit up and take notice at.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a good thing for the lads as well. There's still a bit of a confidence thing, you know. We've kind of had a bit of lack of confidence these last few years, going into it, knowing that, you know, we can go into games, knowing we can beat these teams, but the teams that we're going against, like your Hunslets and your West Hulls, that we've always kind of struggled against, especially in that last 10-15 minutes where they kind of just run away with it. And, you know, when it gets tough, you know, these teams that have been there and done it these last few years, you know, they'll always be there and do it. And we're kind of getting to that point now where that confidence has started to come back in, and that win against West Hull is going to install that confidence even more. And you know, it's a good win to kick on for the rest of the season.
You mentioned about that lack of confidence, but where's that come from? You know, because I mean, every time I think of Siddal, I always think, you know, top 4 club.
I think it's, when I say lack of confidence, I don't mean it in the sense, you know, that we're not confident that we can't win and we can't lose. It's just an eagerness to always wanting to score, not sticking to the process. And when we do get into opposition zone 20, you know, we do panic a bit, and we do want to always want to score instead of just turning the ball over in their 5, or, you know, getting a repeat set and kind of installing that into our game plan. So it's like a bit frantic, like I said, we need a bit of patience and stuff, but like I said, Jake and Inge are installing that into us, you know, and that's the key message that we've always got. And again, it shows these last 2 games we've played where, you know, we've stuck in the battle, we've stuck out, and we've defended hard, kept them in their 20, got a good kick, and we've ended up in our own 50 within the first tackle, and not actually just press that line and just, you know, kept on going. And, you know, errors are starting to become less of a problem, and, you know, we're just sticking to the process more, which is going to install that confidence, you know, that there is that game plan. If we just stick to that game plan, we'll be unstoppable.
It certainly looks like things are building so far.
Yeah, exactly. Still early on in season, you know, two wins and 2 losses, but the 2 losses, you know, that's first and third from last year, so, and, you know, they're not massive losses. Again, 2 points against Swansea, who won it last year, and then Mayfield, who we lost in the playoffs last year, and then you know, they ran away with it. But we knew what we went wrong. We didn't play for the full game. We played for the first half, and then the second half they just came out and beat us. You know, we know what we need to fix, and it's easy fixes. It's not like teams are better than us. It's we're our own worst enemy. So, but it's a lot to build on, and it's a good season to look ahead. We're a young team, we're a hungry team, and watch out. That's all I say.
I see how getting like Greenwood. I mean, he seems to be on fire at the moment.
Jamie, yeah, he's on. He's a scoring machine at the moment. He seems to just score every game, and, you know, but he's one of them players, you know, that it's good to see him score, because then he'll just take it on and take it on board, and he'll be he's like I say, he's a class player, is Jamie, and like the more he scores, you know, the better he plays, and he's always one of them players, you know. He's had a bit of help, well, I say he's come back from Oz, had a good stint over in Oz, and you know, he's brought that experience back with him. Always been a good player, and like I said, if the pack stick to what he says and what we do, and, you know, he's a leader in the middle, and he always will be. So, good player, and he sticks it out, and like I say, he's been our best player so far.
Looks like he's challenging you, because you were top scorer last year, weren't you?
Yeah, well, I think in all fairness, mate, I've not scored this year, so I'm kind of on the back up. But I think on that note, he worked with us last year for most of the season. He came back for a few games after having a stint with Huntsford, and then going over to Walsall and played like 1 or 2 games. We had Walsh here that I was out for half of the season. He's our winner, and he's probably, if he'd have played for full season last year, he'd probably been our top try scorer. But yeah, he was out for half of the season. Good to get him back, and he's been killing it as well. Hosty's back as well, and he's starting to score. Unbelievable player again. Another one of them players where, you know, give him an inch and over a mile. And that is deceptive, and his class, and his, like they say, these players, you know, can win you a game like that. Same with Jamie, same with Walsh. Got a lot of these players, you know, that it's just we install that method that Inge and Jake are telling us, and these guys will just run with it.
Now I'm catching up with you in the aftermath of the first proper field session with Community Lions. How do you think?
Yeah, it was good. I won't lie. Yesterday I didn't play that long. I came off not feeling too cracky. Energy depleted. Kind of came in today thinking it was going to happen again, and, you know, energy levels were better than they were yesterday. Got a bit of a sweat on, and it was good to just get back with lads. Good crack between everyone. Everyone's laughing. Everyone's all smiles and happy. But yeah, it was a good session. Tough, little tough session. Not too hard, but, you know, it's the start of the meeting to go on. You know what I mean? So probably we'll get a bit harder, we'll get a bit tougher, but then that's when we'll start seeing when the season starts to kick in. You know, less of the knocks will happen, and hopefully it'll be a good run.
And obviously, when you're called into the Lions squad, you get to do a few other things that you've not done a lot of. Things like media stuff, whereas people taking your picture and getting you to say things in front of the camera. How do you find that? A bit different.
Well, you know what, right? I'm all right speaking. Like I say, it's one of them ones where if you hear me on the pitch, I don't shut up. But like getting in front of a camera, it's like, oh, it's a bit different. But you know, like we're not media trained. You know, we're all playing for amateur clubs that don't really have many cameras on their faces and stuff. And you have your few players that love the limelight and stuff like that. But you know what it's like. Yeah, you know what it's like. Big, like I say, cameras are all good and that. You know, we've got to get used to it. We're going over to Australia where cameras are probably, to be honest, 24/7. You know, you've got to represent that shirt. You've got to represent playing for England, and you've got to get used to it at some point. So, you know, slowly build it into the programme and hopefully kick off from there.
Green Cooling keeps the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League show cool, even when tackles get heated.
Tell you what, fantastic to hear from those three lads again, wasn't it? You know, and talking at length there, you know, particularly Matty Stableford and Connor there, telling us quite a lot of information really about you know the starts of the respective sides.
Yeah, and I like this, Park. I like the fact that we can speak to them obviously about the Lions' journey. Which obviously it is, and it's a biggie, isn't it? Going to Wales is a bigger. I mean,
definitely. Don't get me wrong. And questions will switch to that a bit later on. You know, because obviously the way that I'm sort of thinking of it at the moment is, you know, there's 22 places in the touring squad up for grabs, and there's 27 players that are going through these initial stages, and you know, so the squad will get cut down.
Yeah. But what I like about it as well, that we can speak to them about their journey with regards to the community side as well. I mean, we a lot of these players that you're speaking to now, we've mentioned time and time again, you know, from who scored tries, etc., etc. But we don't get to hear from them, and this is a Brucey bonus in that respect, isn't it? That we've got, you know, or you have got the you know, sort of access to be able to speak to them about that, as well as the Lions' journey as well.
Yeah, I mean these guys are great, you know, and so far they've all, you know, there's not one person that's turned around and says, "Oh, I'll tell you what, I don't really fancy it much today, Dave." You know, which they're all within the rights to do that. You know, I mean, they've been banged up the day before, haven't they? You know, through you know, tough rugby league games, and you know, next thing you know, they've got cameras pointing at them, and they've got me trying to ask them questions, and I've got them stood in, you know, Force 10 Gales while I'm asking them questions as well, which is a little bit of an experience. But I can't speak highly enough of them so far, you know, and through, again, what I've seen in these early stages, the way that they had the session split, you know, so they had like all backs going together at one point, all forwards going together at one point, and then they came together for about 20 minutes at the end where they did like game like conditions against each other, and you know, there's all these things. They're all getting to know each other. There's a lot of these guys that have played against each other down the years. They're aware of each other, but they don't really know each other in the way that they're going to get to know each other. And as I've said, and I say it time and time and time again, but you train together, you go on a tour together, you come back, you've got a friend for life. You've got people who you'll always want to keep in touch with, and you'll always, you know, have those links, and you'll always have those shared memories, those shared experiences. And, you know, let's be honest, this is a biggie. This is a massive trip. And I'm really looking forward to it myself. You know, it's something that I'm so excited for, and I'm excited for the players as well. That they'll have the opportunity to do this.
Yeah, because the other side of this as well is, and I don't just mean the Lions side. I mean from what we're doing, and we're early in the season now, but how many teams we've spoken to or we've been involved with where players are going over to Australia. Do you know what I mean? So they're going over and they're playing. Don't get me wrong, they're playing for. They're not NRL sides, you know, the lower league sides, but they're still.
That doesn't matter because the standard is really good.
That's what I was just going to say. So for these guys to go over and represent themselves and put themselves in a shot window to a certain extent, because we know if some of the guys we spoke to have gone over there and are being, you know, enjoying a nice stint over there and playing some good, I'm sure, some good rugby. These guys are putting themselves in the shop window with a chance to possibly do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading a match report the other day from the Tully Tigers, up in the northern reaches of Queensland, like there. And I tell you what, they look like they've got a good side. They've got a couple of lads that I know particularly well from the under-19s going to Italy a couple of years ago in Rio McQuiston and Jack Newbegin, and they've both made a very positive start there. And I've spoken at length to the local newspaper about the big difference between going from Millham to going to this place where it's a similar sized place, but the difference in temperature is about 40 degrees. So they've gone there, and it's been like the height of summer.
And like we say, the bottom line is if these guys can go over there, enjoy themselves first and foremost, represent the country, the clubs and the families as well as they can. Hopefully something will come off the back of it that either, maybe they'll be able to get back over there and do the same as those guys. Because there was from Clotface, there was a guy from Clotface who's gone over as well. There's these opportunities. It doesn't always...
we heard about Michael Cashin, didn't we, who was going to be heading over from Oldham St Anne's the other week. Obviously, we spoke about Jamie Greenwood, coming back from Australia, having had a little stint over there. And I can think of a couple more that are playing in the Western Australia region as well, who's been in like academies with Wakefield and Cass and, people like that. They're having life experiences.
Yes, and that's what it is. There's that chance of being able to do that. And I hope these guys, put themselves in that shot window, and it'd be great if a couple of them got picked up to play for Verdi's clubs. That would be absolutely fantastic.
But we'll keep an eye on that journey. I've got to say as well that from a coaching staff point of view, they seem very connected as well. The banter's good between the coaches too, and so you've got Alan Coleman, who's over at Widnes now, but he's running the defence. Then you've got Gary Hewer, who's over the under-19s, who's assisting, and then you've got Paul Couch, who's overseeing the whole lot as the head coach. And it's nice being amongst that because they get on with each other. The physio staff get on with each other. It's a good camp. But I think that we're in for some good times before we actually get to Australia.
And all the others that go, sort of the age groups wise that are low, like your 17s, etc., that are lower than that. And, you're looking through those now and you're thinking, these are the guys who, when these sort of tours will come up again, you're going to be in a better place because of all the things that they are doing now. Or structures wise in those camps.
Well, the interesting thing is that we obviously we've already spoke to Stuart Simmons in this one, and we've heard all about that under-17 squad that he selected. Those are the guys that in 2 years' time will be in. They've got the first shot at getting in for the under-19s next time round because that's the age group. So it's the under-16s that are coming through, the under-17s now, which you're thinking they're going to be in the shop window for moving forward. So and then later on in the year, I believe that again we're going to be having potentially an under-23s. Sort of later on, playing a couple of matches potentially. So, it's a busy program, Mr. Lyons' program.
And the thing is, by getting that structure in place, is when you get up to your open age side playing, they're all big tournaments for don't get me wrong, but like we've just said, going to Oz, playing in Oz. We know what that competition represents, nationally, from their point of view. It's extreme, and we know that the lower down that it's still a lot better than what we've possibly got here. But by putting this structure in place, it means that it's going to be competitive. You've got the right things in place. It's the classic pathway which you've got. Majority of clubs these days, so it's the right way to go, and it gives those people who may not have a chance of representing professional clubs, etc., it still gives them a chance to go over there and pit the wits against really, really tough competition.
Definitely. So we'll follow that journey, pun intended, as it gets closer and closer. But one more thing before we head off for this episode, Steve, and I want to mention the Women's Amateur Rugby League Association's double header finals day, which takes place this coming Easter Sunday at its long-term home at the Millennium Stadium in Featherstone. So while the bosses this year are taking the opportunity to present the Division 1 and 2 championship trophies together with players' medals during the interlude between the Challenge Cup and Plate finals. Fryston Warriors and Wigan St Jude's will be the respective recipients, while Jude's will also be aiming to secure the Challenge Cup by accounting for Batley in only their second season in the Wilder competition. Neither side have lifted the prestigious trophy before, and that match kicks off at 2:30, while the Plate final, that sees West Leeds up against Odsal Sedberg Sirens, who appeared in the 2023 decider, and that's at noon. Now, while the chair Steve Manning said once again it's been a long, hard season with plenty of hurdles crossed along the way, but here we are on our traditional last day of the season, Easter Sunday, at our long-established spiritual home. Featherstone Rovers are great supporters of our finals, and there should be 2 great games on show for what once again will be a great advert for the women's game, which continues to make great strides. We are hoping that supporters of all competing clubs and the Wilder clubs present, past and future, plus those competing in the various summer leagues and spectators new and old, will get down to the ground and support all full teams. Admission has been set at £5, £3 concessions, and for under 16s as well. So there's a couple of matches that you can still go and point yourself towards this coming weekend, but I suppose from our point of view, we just want to wish everybody a happy Easter.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed the show so far this year. If you're thinking that there's something that we've not mentioned, if you're thinking there's more people that we should be talking about, if you're thinking there's more people we should be speaking to, if your club hasn't featured yet on 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show, by all means get in touch. You can do that at 13 Pro-Am RL via Twitter. You can drop me a message as well at Dave Parkinson RL. You can even drop Steve a message as well at Steve_Beech RL.
I'm glad you remember that, because I never remember it.
Now I can't remember wherever else we put this podcast, but I always remember the little Twitter accounts and stuff like that. But yes, we're on all kinds of formats at the moment, aren't we, Steve?
Yeah, we are on. Obviously, you can get us on iTunes, Spreaker, which is obviously with our main broadcast platform, but you can get us on Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addicts, Podchaser, and to be honest, there's loads of other platforms there that you can find us on. What I would say, whichever one you do go on, please go on and obviously follow us and subscribe to us on there, because then you will be notified when there is a new podcast out, and you can obviously listen to us as regular as you want. I know there's one other podcast which is out and about, which does obviously professional rugby league, which I listen to, and I always listen to it while I'm doing the gardening. I go out and I'm doing the lawnmower and I put it on, and I do you know what? Don't get me wrong, I don't mind mowing the lawn, but sometimes it can get a little bit boring. Mm-hmm. So I put the podcast on and listen to it, and do you know what? It's over and done in no time, and I've enjoyed the podcast as well. So I would suggest you could possibly do that with our podcast as well.
What, really?
So there you go, Eddie. This week we've gone out about gardening as well.
Steve, thank you as always, mate.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to our next live broadcast in just over a week's time. That's because, I'm enjoying doing those as well as this show as well.
Yeah, we'll tell you more about that one next week, but mark it in your diaries, because it's Leigh East up against East Leeds from Division 3 of the National Conference. But for us, again, have a happy Easter. Don't eat too much chocolate.
Every tackle, every try, every scrum. Green Cooling is proud to be part of the Community Rugby League family.
was going to say before that word came in from our sponsors, we should thank our sponsors as well, Green Cooling, for everything that they've done for us so far this season. And we will see you again next Wednesday. Ta-ra.
Every tackle, every try, every scrum. Green Cooling is proud to be part of the Community Rugby League family.